Welcome to Spill the Trauma, Keep the Drama. I'm your host, Kayla. As always, I do want to remind you guys that I am not a licensed professional. If you are seeking mental health help, reach out to a licensed professional. If you need help finding resources, you can hit me up. My handle on all social media is Spill the Trauma, Keep the Drama. Let's spill some trauma. Growing up, my parents fought constantly. I don't remember a lot of my younger years. Maybe I blocked it out. Or they sent me to my grandma's to avoid the chaos. The first fight I do remember happening was when I was 7, and it stuck with me. My brother Jake and I were playing in my room when we started fighting over a toy. Normal sibling stuff. I punched him and he ran downstairs to tattle. I waited for my punishment, but instead something worse happened. What I didn't see was that my parents were already arguing. My dad had quit his job to open a Subway franchise, and my mom was furious. In his frustration, he threw a hole puncher at the wall. My mom, holding my 6-month-old brother, called the cops, and my dad was arrested for being menacing. That was the first time I saw my dad getting arrested, but not the last. My dad's rights were violated in family court that week. The judge ordered him to take a drug test, but that's unconstitutional. So he wouldn't comply and called his lawyer friend, who told him he could legally leave. He had to flee to Florida because mom had reported him for having weed, and at the time it wasn't legal. He didn't want to be arrested again. While he was gone, my mom, who felt guilty for dragging my brothers and I into court, took us bowling. That's where I broke my nose with a bowling ball. At the hospital, I cried uncontrollably because all I wanted was my dad. At the time, she told me he got on a plane and left you. A lie she reinforced my whole life. Now I understand he had to save himself from her. But back then, I just felt abandoned. My parents had broken up that summer, but got back together by the end of it, claiming they couldn't live without each other. My dad moved to Florida, and soon we all followed, just in time for me to start 3rd grade. For a year and a half, we were a happy family again. Then, the week of my 9th birthday, everything shattered. The night before, we went to my first NBA game, the Orlando Magic, and we were supposed to see Circus Olay later that week. But on Wednesday, a half day at school, I was pulled out early without warning. My mom claimed to the school secretary that she was pulling us out for a doctor's appointment, but the car was packed with our things. When I asked where we were going, she casually said, "We're moving to New York for good. Your dad and I are getting a divorce." I cried silently, wiping my tears fast. The ride was tense. My dad and his family blew up her phone, furious she'd taken us without warning. He drained their shared account to try and stop her, but it only stalled her in South Carolina. My grandparents had to come save us because we ran out of gas and money. The next day, my birthday, my dad called, devastated, saying this wasn't how this week was supposed to go. Back in New York, I was enrolled in a new school, bullied and miserable until once again my parents reunited. By 5th grade, we were back in Florida. I made great friends, and for a few years, they actually stayed together. By 7th grade, our family had a new addition. Malachi. They'd promised me a puppy, so I was disappointed, but hey, yay, you're a big sister again. Almost immediately, the fights over money got worse. Then in May, everything exploded. We were supposed to go to a wedding, but the day before, my parents argued non-stop. I went outside just to escape the noise, until, of course, the cops showed up. My brothers turned it into a game, guessing which cop car would arrive first. That night, my dad left to stay at his cousin's. He came back the next morning, and we were all supposed to go to the wedding together. Instead, I woke up to screaming. My dad was yelling in Malayalam that he wanted to unalive himself. I ran downstairs to see him slamming his head into a brick wall. We now know it was an MS flare-up. He has multiple sclerosis, as I mentioned in last week's episode. But at the time, we were fucking terrified. My mom, who was feeding Kai, just left him there and ran out to do her specialty, call 911. I grabbed Malachi and bolted after her. We waited at the neighbors while the cops took my dad to get a psycho bell. Then, like nothing happened, we went to the damn wedding. I sat there numb while everyone else laughed and celebrated. My parents' marriage had just imploded again, and this time it was for good. They almost got back together when I was 14, but this time I snapped. This is so embarrassing. But I played them a One Direction song. The song was Same Mistake, but it had the message that I wanted them to hear. Basically, doing the same shit and expecting different results is fucking insanity. But like, One Direction made it PG. Then I screamed at them. For the first time in my life, if you two idiots get back together, you're just gonna have another kid and me and grandma are gonna be the ones stuck raising it. Enough. Shockingly, my mother listened, but my dad lashed out, accusing me of wanting them apart so I could whore around. Joke's on him, I just wanted the cycle to end. Growing up in the constant instability left me hypervigilant, always waiting for the next explosion. Strangely, their happy endings terrified me more than the breakups because I knew the script by heart. Between my parents' toxic roller coaster, my grandparents' abusive relationship, and Disney's fairy tale lies, I had no idea what real love looked like. Unsurprisingly, my own relationships have been messy, but I'm done repeating history. I'll be damned if my kids ever have to live like I did. I'm not naive. I know all couples fight. My kids will see conflict, but they'll also see resolution. They'll watch us talk through problems, not tear each other down. They'll know that even when things get heated, they're never collateral damage in a rash decision. Breaking the cycle isn't perfection. It's about doing better, and I will. The kid who froze in bed at 7 years old, she didn't know it then, but she was learning to survive. The teen who screamed at her parents with a One Direction song, she was learning how to fight back. And the adult telling this story now, I'm proof that you can walk out of a war zone and still choose softness. If your parents never gave you stability, give it to yourself. You're the parent, the protector, and the peacemaker you needed back then. I hope you guys are enjoying listening. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If you guys have any similar experiences or stories and want to share or vent, you can always reach out to me. My DMs are always open. Hit me up everywhere and anywhere. Spill the trauma, keep the drama. And until next week, when we spill more trauma.